as we enter this space of worship today, I'm going to invite someone to volunteer and come up and light the chalice while I read some words. If anyone feels moved to play with fire, it will not be your only opportunity to do so today. Ali, please. Our reading this morning, Lynn Unger, I'm going to try moving around, called These Days. We practice cooperation. Thank you, Ollie. These days. Anyone who tells you not to be afraid should have their head examined. Cities are burning, hillsides are burning, and the dumpster fire of our common life is out of control. I wish I could tell you when it's going to get better. I wish I could promise that better was anywhere down the road. I miss dancing, bodies in something between conversation and flight. I miss singing the way we trusted the air that moved between us. I miss the casual assumption that everything would be right in the morning. These days, I am trying to be buoyed by the smallest things. A ripe tomato, a smattering of rain. These days, I am trying to remember that songs of lamentation are still songs. You may have guessed that that was written during the early parts of the pandemic. Many of the words still ring true and truer even now in these days. And so today we are going to take some time together to explore and practice the spiritual practice of lamentation. Big religious word. Lamentation is about the full body expression of sorrow and grief and heartache. Something that in our tradition we sometimes like to gloss over and jump to hope and strength. But today we're going to talk about why the practice of sitting in the sorrow and the heartache is important and is a spiritual practice that can bring healing and deeper connection. So as we settle into this space of lamentation, I would invite you to join me in rising in body and spirit as you're willing and able, and sing our first hymn together, 1006, In My Quiet Sorrow. And the words will be on your screen, or we have hymnals. The teal hymnal has this particular song.
In my voice
I sitting on? Pen. That I can get. All right. I have a story for us this morning about grief. And this particular story is about death, but I invite us to open the concept of grief and sorrow wide, to include loss of part of who you are, to include changes in our lives that we may be grieving, to include violence and heartache that we see in the world as part of what grief is and how it shows up. So come with me as we walk through one child's experience of grief with a story called One Wave at a Time, a story about grief and healing, by Holly Thompson, pictures by Ashley Crowley. We used to be 4. Mom, Dad, Ben, and me. Now we are 3. Mom, Ben, and me. Sadness comes and goes in waves. There are places where Dad used to be, at the table for dinner, on the sofa, napping, on the stoop with his guitar, in the car next to Mom, or on the sidelines at games, or waiting with Ben. When sad waves roll in too many, too fast, I dive under my bed with a flashlight and a pile of comics and Dad's green shirt. Down there, it's a submarine of quiet and safe beneath stormy waves. Along with sad waves come mad waves, towering and strong, cresting like tsunamis and crashing ashore. Ben throws his toys. Mom yells at the ceiling. I wreck Dad's guitar. Some waves of fear, some waves are fear waves that curl me in a ball. Will Mom? Did Dad? Could I have? Should I not have? Fear waves leave fear stones that make my stomach ache. Some days there are no waves, just flatness. I'm like a robot as I ride the bus, walk the halls, sit at my desk. Voices seem far away. My body is slow. The world is away. Happy waves, too, slip in to trickle and tackle. When Mom smiles, or my team scores a goal, or when I play boats with Ben. Some happy waves stay a while, others rush away. Waves of all kinds tumble in, one after the other, in no special order, unpredictable as the sea. Waves barely there, waves I can ride, and waves that break and crash. But lately, we join with other families tumbled by waves. In groups, we talk and play, and when the question ball asks, "What do you miss?" I say, my dad's songs and the way he sang them slow and full of blues. We talk about death, what it is and how it happens. Our talking stick traveling the circle as we share how our special person died. Strangers become friends. Friends help strangers. In groups, we ride the waves. At home, we make some changes. Move furniture, hang memory flags, fix Dad's guitar. I fill a grief first aid kit with things that soothe. Putty, soft cloth, smooth stones. And we add memory boxes. We add 2 memory boxes. Dad's guitar picks, shells, funny jokes he had told. Sometimes we talk about Dad, say things we never said, asked things we never asked. Or we hold hands and sing Lean on Me, even Ben joining in. Or we're quiet, just breathing together, Mom, Ben, and me. One day, we rescue a chair from the trash, clean it up, paint it fresh. So now, on special days, when people visit, we eat Dad foods, sing Dad songs, tell Dad stories, and share Dad memories from in the memory chair. When Mom cries now, I don't hide. When Ben whines, I don't usually yell. And when I spy a wave, I inhale slowly. The waves still come. Sad waves and mad waves, flat waves and fear waves. But when they roll in, I surf them one at a time. The end. We need these practices of lament to surf the waves of grief and sorrow in our lives. And we need them not just alone, but we need them in community. We need them with one another. And this is a place where we know we hold one another in love. I want to share with you some words from one of my colleagues, Reverend Erica Hewitt, on lament and why it's so important for us. She tells a story in her book, Sparks of Wonder, Theme-Based Ministry for Whole Congregation. And she says, in her 1975 theological treatise, Suffering, German theologian Dorothy Zerla examines the ways that suffering can knit human beings closer together and can draw us more fully into the process of loving. She uses the term apatheia, the inability to suffer, to describe the condition in which people become so dominated by the goal of avoiding suffering that it becomes a goal to avoid human relationships and contact altogether. Isolation and apathy are forms of powerlessness. Both destroy. In Sirla's words, we are destroyed most thoroughly by the affliction that robs us of any capacity, any possibility of loving any longer. The capacity we need the most is the capacity to keep on loving. If pain and suffering tempt us to become isolated and apathetic, Sirla argues we must instead give voice to our suffering by creating a language of lament that might draw us into solidarity. She offers echoes that of her rough, the theology she offers echoes that of her rough contemporary Hannah Arendt, who was a political theorist rather than a theologian. One of Arendt's most well-known assertions from her work, The Origins of Totalitarianism, is that totalitarianism is organized loneliness. And that the seed of loneliness is isolation. The experience of not belonging to the world at all, which is among the most radical and desperate experiences of human beings. Therefore, resisting the isolation that breeds loneliness is not just an emotional, psychological, or even spiritual act, but also a political one. The blogger and critic Maria Popova puts it this way: our insistence on belonging, community, and human connection is one of the greatest acts of courage and resistance in the face of oppression. Who knew that lament was such a powerful act? I would guess that many of us have been brought up to either hide our sorrow or keep it separate from everyone else, to not bother the people around us with our big feelings of grief and sorrow. That it's not socially acceptable to feel those things more than a short appointed time after a death. Does that message resonate with anyone else in this room? Of what you may have been taught? But our faith tells us something different. Right? If this is what love is, love calls us to bring all of who we are into connection, and we cannot have real depth of love and connection and fight the pain we see in the world without first being able to connect with and hold one another in our own pain and sorrow and heartache. And so we make a a time and a space for that here together. Because grief and sorrow can also become overwhelming. Right? If we sit in them all the time, if we're constantly trying to hold them in, or if we have nowhere to go with our grief and sorrow, they can wash into or creep out the outsides of everything we do. When we take the time to create ritual, to create specific space that holds our grief and sorrow, it gives us permission for those to be present, for them to come out and come forth in a way that can feel more safe, in a way that we know we are not alone in our heartache and our pain, but we are held together in community. And having a designated space means we won't get lost in it. We can let go for this short time and know that at the end of the service, I will bring us back into a place of love and breathing and centering. All of those things are important when we talk about lament and how to practice it. Now, lament shows up in almost every single religious tradition and in almost every single culture in the world. For some, it's highly ritualized, right? With patterns of what to wear, what to eat, where to go, who to interact with. For others, it's messy and open and big and a full body experience of wailing and falling on the ground whenever and wherever the experience and emotions of grief overcome you. Now, I don't anticipate that happening this morning, but if it does, we'll hold you and hold the space for however your grief may come up and come out. There's no one right or wrong way to lament, to feel grief and sorrow and heartache. One of my most powerful places is in the car. Maybe not always the safest, but when my grief gets stuck and comes out, it's usually singing and sitting in the car. There are times I will arrive somewhere and just sit an extra 5 minutes because the lament is coming out. Sometimes I don't even know what it's about, but the song helps me release the feelings that are within me. So, as we move in through this service, we're going to go in a few different parts. In a moment, I will invite us into singing There's a Balm in Gilead. And then we will have a time of sharing, where I will invite everyone in person and online to either unmute or write in the text, in the chat, what you need to lament over. What grief, what heartache, what sorrow you need held in this community. And oftentimes, during our regular joys and sorrows, I ask you to limit it to what's personal. But in this practice of lament, we are opening up to broad feelings, right? Some of us may be lamenting about what's happening halfway across the world. Others may be lamenting about some small moment in our lives. And all of those can be held in this space. After we speak aloud, I'm going to invite us into physical ritual. Now, this can take many forms, because there are many ways of grieving and many rituals that have meaning to us. So I've prepared a number of materials for you all to engage in. And Bruce will be playing some music in the background during this time. You can come up alone. You can come up as someone else is here. You can come up with someone. There are candles you could light and put in the bowl of sand. You may wish to leave them burning. You may wish to blow it out. There are rocks and stones of varying types that you can do lots of different things with, including taking them with you and holding one in your hand. You might want to bury one in the sand. You might want to place one over here in the water. There's a bowl for placing stones in, and there's water if you feel like you need to pour some water. Pour grief out of you with the physical act of moving water, which often represents emotion. Perhaps you feel like you need to touch the water, place a finger or two in, and anoint on some part of your body where the emotion is strong, that you need to recognize and release. Perhaps you will need to just sit in your chair and have a good cry. Perhaps you'll need sound. There's a singing bowl that can be rung, and I will ring it when we begin the ritual portion. Does anyone have questions on this process of lament that we are going to enter into shortly? When we're finished with the ritual and everyone has had a chance to come up and engage in ways that feel healing, we'll sing all together, breathe in, breathe out, to help reground and center us. Kevin is on the tissues. Thank you, Kevin. All right. Then I'm going to invite you to stay seated and sing with me, "There is a Balm in Gilead." This song in particular was sung at the Equity Justice Initiative Museum in Alabama, where I went last fall, in a hall that commemorated the passage and the experience of African Americans who were brought to this country to be enslaved. So I invite that portion of lament into this space as well as we sing together. Words by Reverend David Breeden, A Lament. We cry out in grief at the suffering we see. People, all living things, the planet. Preventable suffering, yet it continues on and on. When we feel overwhelmed, we gather to find a path, to find new ways forward. When we feel overwhelmed, we know that to our right and to our left are the faces of caring, faces of companionship. Joining together, we find our refuge, we find our strength, we find our wisdom, we find our way forward.